The rain had stopped falling over the Kenyan plains, leaving the air fresh and heavy with the scent of wet earth. On the slopes of Mount Kenya, overlooking the wilderness where his father had proposed to his mother decades earlier, a young man with his father's brow and his mother's heart knelt on one knee. The year was 2010, and the world would soon learn that Prince William Wales had finally asked the question the entire planet had been waiting nearly a decade to hear. For Catherine Middleton, the daughter of flight attendants who had turned a modest mail-order business into a fortune, the moment was surreal. They had met at the University of St. Andrews, where she had reportedly caught his eye at a charity fashion show, and their friendship had slowly blossomed into a love that survived university pressures, media scrutiny, and even a brief split in 2007. Now, and here in Africa, the continent that had claimed his mother's heart and now claimed his, William presented her with a ring that carried the weight of history. It was not just any ring. It was his mother's engagement ring, the stunning sapphire surrounded by diamonds that Princess Diana had chosen from Gerard in 1981. By giving Kate this particular ring, William ensured that his mother would, in some small way, be present at the wedding she would never attend. But in one significant detail, the William broke from tradition. He had not asked Kate's father, Michael Middleton, for permission before proposing. Later, in their engagement interview, he confessed with a cheeky grin that he had worried her father might actually say no. So he decided to ask Kate first, leaving Michael with little choice but to agree afterward. Fortunately, the Middleton family adored William, and Michael later told reporters that they thought he was wonderful and that the couple made each other incredibly happy. When they finally sat down for their engagement interview with ITV's Tom Bradby, the nation held its breath. Memories of another engagement interview, Charles and Diana's famously awkward exchange, still lingered in the public consciousness. But this was different. Kate, dressed in a stunning blue silk dress, spoke with confidence and warmth. When asked about the pressures of joining the royal family, she acknowledged that it was daunting, but that she hoped to carve her own future. William, protective even then, interjected firmly that there was no pressure, that no one was trying to fill his mother's shoes, and that Kate would do a very good job of making her own destiny. It was a sharp contrast to the stiff formality of engagements past, and the British public breathed a collective sigh of relief. The announcement sent shockwaves through the media. Kensington Palace issued a formal statement, and the world erupted in celebration. Well-wishers gathered outside Buckingham Palace, and commentators noted the significance of the ring, Diana's ring, returning to royal service. For William, it was a way of keeping his mother close, of ensuring that she was part of this moment. For Kate, it was a symbol not just of her love for William, but of the legacy she was stepping into. Little did anyone know just how heavy that legacy would eventually become. Westminster Abbey gleamed under the spring sunshine on April 29, 2011. Inside, 1 billion people watched via television as Catherine Middleton processed down the aisle, her Sarah Burton for Alexander McQueen gown trailing behind her like a river of ivory silk. Prince William, resplendent in his red Irish Guards uniform, whispered to his best man, Prince Harry, "She's beautiful." Harry reportedly replied, "Hey, she's late." It broke the tension, but nothing could diminish the magnitude of the moment. The wedding was a fairy tale. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, as they were then titled, rode back to Buckingham Palace in an open carriage, waving to the crowds that lined the streets. On the balcony, they shared a kiss that would be replayed millions of times, and another kiss, apparently whispered at Harry's urging, followed shortly after. The Queen, for once, seemed genuinely amused. But behind the glittering facade, adjustments were being made. Kate had joined the firm, and the firm demanded sacrifice. There were royal tours to undertake, charities to patronize, and an endless parade of engagements that required perfect poise at all times. Kate adapted with a grace that surprised even seasoned royal watchers. Jenny Bond, the former BBC royal correspondent, noted that Kate emerged from the engagement interview as an extremely personable, a confident young woman who understood William very well. That understanding would prove essential in the years ahead. The early years of marriage brought joy. Prince George Alexander Louis arrived on July 22, 2013, followed by Princess Charlotte Elizabeth Diana on May 2, 2015, and Prince Louis Arthur Charles on April 23, 2018. Each birth was celebrated with the traditional steps of the Lindo wing, Kate emerging hours after delivery looking impossibly composed, the baby nestled in her arms. And they moved to Anmer Hall in Norfolk, seeking a measure of normalcy away from London. There, William could fly helicopters for the East Anglian Air Ambulance, and Kate could garden with the children away from the press's prying lenses. The family was growing, but so were the pressures. Prince Harry's relationship with Meghan Markle introduced new dynamics, and the departure of the Sussexes from royal duties in 2020, later dubbed Megxit, created a rift that would only deepen with time. William, always protective of the institution he would one day inherit, reportedly found the situation difficult to navigate, and the brothers' relationship grew strained. Through it all, Kate remained a steady presence. She launched her photography hobby into a public service, releasing portraits of the children on their birthdays that were always met with delight. She championed early childhood development, understanding that the foundation for adult happiness was laid in the earliest years. And she supported William through his environmental initiatives, including the prestigious Earthshot Prize, which aimed to find solutions to the planet's most pressing problems. But the calm was not to last. The Queen's death on September 8, 2022 at Balmoral Castle changed everything. Charles became king, and overnight, William and Kate became the Prince and Princess of Wales, a title last held by William's mother and father. The weight of that title was immense. Kate was now the future queen, a role she had been preparing for over a decade, but that still carried expectations few could comprehend. They moved to Adelaide Cottage in Windsor, closer to the Queen's beloved Windsor Castle and within easy reach of the children's school, Lambrook. They hoped for a quieter life, a chance to raise George, Charlotte, and Louis with as much normality as possible. But the crown does not rest, and the duties only multiplied. And the year 2024 brought a challenge no one could have anticipated. In January, Kensington Palace announced that the Princess of Wales had undergone planned abdominal surgery and would be recuperating until after Easter. The statement was vague, intentionally so, respecting Kate's privacy. But the internet, as it does, filled the silence with speculation. Conspiracy theories flourished, fueled by Kate's absence from public life and a Mother's Day photograph that had been digitally altered, or triggering a recall from photo agencies. Then, on March 22, 2024, Kate released a video message that stopped the world. Sitting on a garden bench, her voice steady but her eyes betraying the gravity of the moment, she revealed that tests after the surgery had found cancer. She was undergoing preventative chemotherapy. The news was devastating. William described the period as brutal, and privately supporting his wife while maintaining public duties and shielding their 3 children from the worst of the media storm. The cancer diagnosis came in the same year that King Charles also announced his own cancer battle, placing the monarchy under unprecedented strain. 2 of the most senior royals were simultaneously sidelined, leaving the remaining working royals to shoulder an increased load. For William, it was a juggling act of immense proportions, supporting his wife and supporting his father, reassuring his children and maintaining a semblance of royal continuity. But out of the darkness came light. Kate's cancer battle, while harrowing, brought the family closer. In September 2024, she announced that she had completed her chemotherapy treatment. A deeply personal video showed the family in Norfolk, William and Kate on a beach, the children playing, the couple embracing and kissing with an intimacy rarely seen in royal circles. It was a message of hope, of survival, and of love. By early 2025, Kate was in remission and gradually returning to public duties. Her first major engagement of the year was a visit to the Natural History Museum in London, where she was caught in a rainstorm while meeting school children. Ever the professional, she held an umbrella over the children, directing teachers to take them inside before worrying about herself. It was a small moment, but it spoke volumes about the woman she had become. On a crisp September morning in 2025, the Prince and Princess of Wales arrived at the Natural History Museum for their first joint engagement since the summer break. Kate, patron of the museum, wore a smart blouse and stylish trousers, her hair noticeably blonder after the summer months. William, ever supportive, walked beside her as they greeted the museum's director and prepared to tour the newly opened gardens. The gardens, featuring grassland, wetland, and woodland habitats, were designed as a living laboratory where visitors and scientists could monitor urban wildlife. Kate, who had long championed the importance of children connecting with nature, was in her element. She had previously created the Back to Nature garden at the Chelsea Flower Show and had released a series of videos celebrating the seasons, urging society to reconnect with the natural world. Today, she watched as school children explored the outdoor learning areas, on their faces lighting up as they discovered insects and plants. But the London weather had other plans. As the tour progressed, the sky darkened and rain began to fall, lightly at first, then with increasing intensity. Kate, ever practical, immediately focused on the children. She held her umbrella over them, gesturing to the teachers to get them inside. "Let them go in. Let's take them inside. It's pouring," she said, her maternal instincts taking over. The group hurried into the museum. The planned outdoor activities abandoned in favor of dry indoor exhibits. It was a minor inconvenience, but it showcased Kate's priorities. The children came first, always. The visit marked the beginning of their autumn program, which would include William traveling to Brazil for the Earthshot Prize's 5th anniversary, but more significantly, it signaled Kate's continued recovery and her determination to resume her royal duties. After a year of illness and treatment, she was back, and she was determined to make every moment count. Yet the return to duty was not without its critics. Anti-monarchy group Republic seized on the couple's schedule, noting that William had only undertaken engagements on 13 days between August and mid-October. Graham Smith, the group's chief executive, accused the couple of being work-shy and giving a false impression of busyness while receiving millions from the Duchy of Cornwall. The criticism stung, particularly given the challenges the family had faced. Supporters pointed out that Kate was still recovering, and that William had been balancing public duties with supporting his wife and children. The debate highlighted the impossible position senior royals occupy, expected to be visible at all times, yet criticized no matter what they do. For William and Kate, the criticism was background noise. They had learned, through years of scrutiny and through the crucible of Kate's illness, that public opinion would always fluctuate. What mattered was each other, their children, and the work they could do to make a difference. And there was important work to be done. The town of Southport, in northwest England, had been forever changed on July 29, 2024. On that day, a 17-year-old attacker entered a Taylor Swift-themed dance class and murdered 3 young girls, B.B. King, 6, Elsie Stancomb, 7, and Alice da Silva Aguiar, 9. 8 other children were injured, and the nation reeled. The royal family, as always, offered condolences, but for William and Kate, the tragedy resonated on a deeply personal level. They had children of similar ages. They understood, in ways they wished they didn't, the magnitude of the parents' loss. In October 2024, they had visited Southport privately, meeting with the bereaved families and offering what comfort they could. Now, in September 2025, they returned. The visit began at Farnborough Road Infant and Junior School, and where Elsie had been a pupil. In a private meeting lasting about 20 minutes, they sat with Elsie's parents, Lauren and Ben, listening to their memories, sharing their grief. It was emotional, draining, but necessary. The royals were not just figureheads. They were fellow human beings, and in moments like these, their presence mattered. From there, they traveled to Churchtown Primary School, where Alice and Bebe had been students. And the school had fundraised to create a memorial playground in honor of the girls, with any surplus funds going to charities founded in their memories. William and Kate had privately donated to the appeal. Now, they toured the playground, seeing the swings and slides that would bring joy to generations of children, ensuring that Alice and Baby's names would always be associated with happiness. During the visit, Baby's mother, Lauren King, gifted the royal couple friendship bracelets she had made, featuring her daughter's name. Both William and Kate accepted them graciously and wore them for the rest of the visit, a small but powerful gesture of solidarity. The bracelets, simple bands with Baby woven into the design, were photographed and shared widely, symbolizing the connection between a grieving mother and a future queen. At the end of the visit, William delivered a short speech. Standing in the playground, and surrounded by children and teachers, he spoke of the tragic events that remained difficult to comprehend. He praised the community for coming together, for creating a positive space in memory of the girls. He addressed the parents directly, Alex and Sergio, Alice's parents, Lauren and Ben, Bebe's parents, Jenny and David, Elsie's parents, calling them parents united in grief, who had faced horror with grace and fortitude. "We will always be here to support you," he promised. "Nay, to everyone impacted on that day, you will never be forgotten." After his speech, as the crowd applauded, a small moment occurred that royal fans would later seize upon. Kate, leaning into her husband, spoke to him with a loving smile. William responded, his expression softening. Body language experts would later analyze the exchange, noting the synchronicity between them, the unspoken communication that spoke of deep understanding and partnership. Fans commented online that they were true soulmates and that William had chosen his queen well. It was a fleeting moment, but it revealed the bedrock of their relationship, a friendship that had deepened over 2 decades into something unshakable. As 2025 drew to a close, William and Kate received unexpected recognition. Time magazine included them in its prestigious Top 100 Philanthropy Awards, praising their efforts to modernize royal philanthropy through social innovation and corporate partnerships. The magazine noted that they were less concerned with cultural preservation and more attuned to social issues, tackling homelessness and rural mental health through their Royal Foundation and spotlighting climate solutions through the Earthshot Prize. The recognition was significant. It placed them alongside global leaders and innovators, and acknowledging that their work extended beyond ribbon cutting to genuine systemic change. Kate's Shaping Us campaign and the Royal Foundation Business Task Force for Early Childhood had garnered support from major companies like Deloitte, Lego, and Co-op. William's Earthshot Prize, launched in 2020, had become a major force in environmental innovation, awarding millions to solutions ranging from renewable energy to ocean cleanup. For the couple, the award was validation of their approach, and they had always believed that royalty could be a force for good, not just a ceremonial relic. By aligning social imperatives with business strategies, they were creating lasting change that would outlast their own lifetimes. And crucially, they were building a template for their children to follow. Royal expert Katie Nichol noted that William and Kate's philanthropic initiatives would help their younger children, Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis, avoid the spare syndrome that had affected Prince Harry, Prince Andrew, and Princess Margaret. By creating lifelong campaigns like Earthshot and the Homelessness Project, they were giving their children something meaningful to inherit, a purpose beyond simply being the spare to the heir. William reportedly wanted George, Charlotte, and Louis to be passionate about these causes, to continue the work and make it their own. The family had also made a significant personal decision. They would move from Adelaide Cottage to the larger Forest Lodge in Windsor Great Park, a change driven by the need for more space after the challenging years of Kate's illness. The 8-bedroom home would provide room for the children to grow and for the family to host the friends and relatives who had supported them through the darkest times. Looking back on their journey from university students to future king and queen, Jenny Bond reflected that the bedrock of their relationship was their early friendship. They had met as young people, fallen in love gradually, and built a foundation of mutual understanding that had weathered every storm. The rift with Harry, the cancer diagnoses, the public scrutiny, all of it had been survivable because they had each other. As Bond put it, William and Catherine had needed that solid foundation to face the challenges life threw at them, and they had emerged stronger, their love deeper, their partnership more evident than ever. In the videos they released, in the public appearances they made, in the small gestures caught by cameras, the world could see what they were like in private, a couple who laughed together, hugged freely, and protected each other fiercely. As William had once said, family life was probably less dignified behind closed doors, more boisterous, more real. But that reality, that authenticity, was exactly what made them relatable. And they were royals, yes, but they were also parents who worried about their children, partners who supported each other through illness, and humans who grieved with the bereaved parents of Southport. The Regal entrance had indeed ended in sorrow at times, the sorrow of a mother lost too young, of a brother estranged, of a body that had betrayed its owner. But from that sorrow had come strength. And when William and Kate spoke, whether in a museum garden, a Southport school, or a video message from their home, people listened. They listened because the words were real, the emotions genuine, and the couple before them had earned the right to be heard through years of service and suffering and survival.